give you the, there it is. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I call the meeting to order by recognizing the traditional keepers of this land and specifically our neighbors of the Alderville First Nation with a formal territorial acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge that the municipality of Brighton is located on the Mississauga-Anishinaabe territory and is the traditional territory of Mississauga. The Council of the Municipality of Brighton respectfully acknowledges that the Mississauga Nation are the collective stewards and caretakers of these lands and waters in perpetuity, and that they continue to maintain this responsibility to ensure their health and integrity for generations to come. So welcome back, everybody, since our June meeting. And we also have Robin on with us. Robin is filling in for Jessica while she's interim deputy clerk. Robin is also the deputy returning officer for the election. Is that right, Robin?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, busy lady. So thank you for assisting us with this meeting this morning. So the first item is the approval of the agenda for the September 8th, today's meeting of the Economic Development Advisory Committee. Are there any changes? Okay, I'll need a mover and a seconder, please. Mover, Wayne, and Karen. Thank you. All in favor? It's approved. Okay. So are there any declarations of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof? And in comes my dog. Hearing none. So approval of the minutes. We have two sets of minutes. So the first one is June the 2nd. And it's the Economic Advisory Committee, but it is the meeting where it was just a presentation of the BRNE, the Business Retention and Expansion report. And we'll have one motion for both. So the second one is June the 9th, and that was the regular minutes of the Economic Development Advisory Committee of that date, June 9th. So are there any issues with any of those minutes? I need a mover and a seconder to approve both sets of minutes. So that's Emily and Ron. Thank you. And we have no delegation, so we'll go straight to our business. So first is the municipal update with Ben. I asked Ben to include an update on the business retention and expansion project and also the first impressions project that we did with Napanee earlier to fill us in on the progress to date and what's coming up. So take it away, Ben. Morning, Laura.
Sure. Thanks, everyone. Hope everyone's had a fantastic summer. Yeah, and we'll get started here. So Libby provided me with a list of kind of items that the group was looking for an update on as it relates to some stuff that was revealed in the First Impressions program that was done about a year ago, as well as the BRNE that was presented on about the middle of June. So I've got a few things here. Bear with me. There's a lot to go through, so hopefully I won't take too much time. So one of the things, so we'll start with this one. Obviously, in any BRNE, there's going to be criticism of the development application process. So we discovered that we actually do have fairly minimal red tape compared to other municipalities when it comes to major developments, residential, commercial, industrial. We do have to follow, things that are outlined in our official plan, things that we have to be compliant towards the Conservation Authority, the health unit when it comes to septic and all those things. But we have made a great new hire. We have a manager of approvals now that just started in the middle of August. So just by expanding our human resources, we feel that the development process and application process and overall customer service value will increase substantially. We've been running without a manager of approvals since about early in 2022. So this is a welcomed addition to the team. As well, a motion made at council on August 22nd. Staff are now looking into online systems, online planning application systems, maybe even building permitting systems that can be done a little more easily, readily available. People can do it at their leisure. Staff can approve it maybe quicker, if a little bit more itemized, less back and forth. As we know, going digital is something that's been going on the last little while. So, there's some good developments happening in that item there. Broadband internet, something that was, talked about a lot throughout the survey. It was revealed long before the survey. So the Hydro One project that's going to use current infrastructure that Brighton was chosen as a pilot is well underway. We had an open house middle of July, and there was a lot of public participation. Hydro One gave a great presentation. Believe Ron and Emily were both there. I stopped and talked to the staff, and it was a really, really well done. So there's 3 towers that are going to be installed. One's behind the Home Hardware on Butler Street, the truss plant. One's going to be on the Trent Hills Brighton border, and one's going to be kind of northern Brighton, kind of off Carmen Road. So those installations and construction are starting in the next 5 to 6 weeks, and should hopefully be complete early in 23. So hopefully the service providers pick it up during 23 sometime, and those folks are able to get some new internet and some more stable internet in our rural communities. There's a project that Northumberland County is taking on. They are currently they've hired a contractor to look after it. It's a little more extensive than the hydro project, as it's going to cover all of Northumberland County, so approximately 13,000 residences and businesses. They are in permitting phases, so that will be mostly, and the plan is for it to start in Brighton and work its way west. All throughout the summer, I'm sure you've seen the ProMark trucks in the urban areas of Brighton. That is fiber being installed. ProMark is a contractor of some of your more well-known service providers. So who knows who's picking up those services in terms of Bell, Rogers, TELUS, whatever. But fiber is being installed throughout most of Brighton and the urban areas as we speak. So lots of things happening broadband wise. We're continuing to work through our industrial park environmentally protected issue. We've got Cambium and Jewel working with Lower Trent. It's a process that involves wetland compensation to try to get these 10, 11 acres back in the fold and developable, and the environmental protection zoning lifted. We feel like we've made some pretty significant headway in the last couple of months. So that's about all I can really talk about there. Road and signage issues. We identified sort of some gaps in our signage. About a year ago, Caroline and I did a full-blown inventory on what was good, what was bad, what was lacking, where there was some wayfinding areas that were missing signage that have come to be more high volume traffic areas in the last number of years, i.e. Bowes Road, Huff Road. We've also gone out and taken off any of the businesses that are no longer in service or the name of the business as well. So it's kind of twofold. I don't want to go out and spend a whole bunch of money on signage if the next term of council is interested in a rebranding exercise. So we're gonna mind our inventory. We're gonna know, kind of have a plan of attack ready to go, and hopefully whether if there's no appetite for rebranding, then maybe we'll get started on it pretty quickly in the new term. If there is an appetite for rebranding, then we'll let the rebranding process run its course and then attack signage after that. Our agricultural relations, Applefest has really accelerated these relations. Through Applefest application processes, we've been able to reach out directly to agricultural businesses and farmers. As a result, we have 10 agricultural vendors placed downtown for Applefest. Fresh produce, honey, garlic, maple syrup. As well, we came up with a special rate for local farmers, for local agricultural businesses, and a special, more convenient placement downtown at Applefest for them. So we feel we've made some agricultural relationship headways there. Would be remiss to say if Caroline wasn't at the head of that. So that's great work done by her, absolutely. So some things we've heard, some comments back through the agricultural sector is that it's really hard to engage in tourism and PR activities given their staff complement, especially students going back to school in the fall. But they are, for the most part, there's 10 of them making Applefest work, which is really great. We'll talk about Applefest a little bit more later if you want. It's not on my list directly, but I can chat about it. Applefest, Caroline's done an amazing job of coming up with a new brand called Back to Our Roots. So it's going to be a very local vendor street fair, and the concentration on, really, really cool products that are handmade, hand grown. So lots of really cool stuff. And without the cooperation from our farmers and our agricultural businesses, she wouldn't have been able to pull that off. So I feel like we've made some pretty strong headway there. Tourism strategy. I think this was mentioned kind of in bits and pieces of both reports and surveys. So we come up with a yearly plan that is a working document that is centered around promoting our tourism assets, whether that be destinations or businesses alike. Plan campaigns, so things like Bites of Brighton are to boost exposure towards our eateries that maybe catch the eye of tourists. We're blessed to have a provincial park in our community. So we've got some signage, we've got some shop local things going on out in Presqu'île. We were fortunate enough to have Laura's team pick up and reopen the tourism booth this year. So we had tons of paper marketing material, print marketing material at that booth that represented the entire region, that represented all the campaigns going on, that represented the downtown, that represented the chamber. Materials from Northumberland Tourism, materials from Bay of Quinte Regional Marketing Board. And it was a hot spot throughout the summer. Laura's student had to leave a little bit early this summer, so we were able to help out with our student, and Amelia filled in for a few weekends as well. So it was definitely a team effort getting that booth up and running. And I think it was a successful summer overall. Every time I went down there, it looked like it was a really hopping spot. You can pick up anything from French fries to firewood down there, ice cream, obviously. So really successful summer down at the park and promoting the rest of our region, leveraging all the volume of folks that are down there already. We have to leverage our partnerships, Bay of Quinte Regional Marketing Board and Northumberland Tourism, kind of tackle it from obviously a west and east kind of perspective, but it's really we don't have the staff complement, we don't have the budget to be a tourism marketing board or to be a tourism marketing agency. We're here to do what we can and work with our partners to do so. The municipal accommodations bylaw was passed this summer as well. So we're now working with some accommodators on an implementation plan, and the noted tourism entity that we'll be working with on that will be the Bay Quinte Regional Marketing Board. So really exciting stuff. This will take a couple years to really see some lasting revenues, but essentially the concept, is tourism pays for tourism. So anytime somebody's staying in an accommodation in Brighton, there's a percentage off that fee that's going to go right back into tourism in Brighton to help marketing plans and to help our groups, DBIA, Chamber as well. So downtown and DBIA support, definitely comments throughout both reports. We had an amazing, vibrant summer this summer. Music and movies in the park were a huge success. It brought a ton of people downtown. Average kind of 350, 400 a few times on Wednesday evenings at Music in the Park. And something that it's not the most telling or the most scientific stat that I've ever seen or came up with, but we figure an average spend. So if somebody's coming down to Music in the Park, the average spend is probably along the lines of $5. It could be $50 if they went for dinner before or did some shopping before, but it could be $2 if they just bought one hot dog. But say the average is $5 combined with all the attendance. We figured there was a spend of approximately $25,000 throughout the summer because of Music in the Park. Movies in the park, we were able to get that off the ground too. When I say we, this is all the community events committee led by Lloyd Hutchison as the chair. We were able to run 3 of those, not as well attended as music, but still anywhere from 50 to 100 folks down there. And it's a bit later. The movies don't start till 8:30 because of the lighting that has to occur. So it might deter folks from going, but nonetheless, great to offer those amenities after COVID restrictions have been lifted. And it was great to get community partners involved. Sunny Days, I know, ran our 50/50 as well. There was another charitable organization that was part of our 50/50, maybe Emily or Marty or
the food bank.
Yes,
Food bank.
that's correct. So definitely some really good community effects came from Music in the Park as well. I can't stress enough the work that Lloyd and Phil put in, as well as the rest of the group. Community events, definitely, if it was just up to Caroline and I, it wouldn't go off that smoothly, that's for sure, because of all the time they put in as volunteers. We're also very involved. Caroline's been attending DBIA meetings, offering updates and being that kind of municipal contact. Apple Fest is going to be another influx of folks downtown. We're expecting huge crowds, upwards anywhere between 5,000 and 10,000. We're not sure. So it could be a huge revenue generator, not only for downtown businesses, but for all the vendors that are part of Apple Fest. We're not sure. We can't sit here and promise that every vendor is going to get all these people throwing money at them, but the exposure that the downtown gets through Apple Fest, especially with the holiday season, not that far down the line, gets people looking around, realizing, geez, there's a lot of opportunities in Brighton to come shop locally. Maybe I'll come back in late November or whatever and shop again. So we're really excited to have Apple Fest back. Full slate of events and activities on Friday evening right into Sunday afternoon. One of the biggest things we heard in the BRNE was the workforce attraction strategy and employee training issues. We have put together a very short survey, just asking the business community, would you be interested in the municipality engaging with a group such as Career Edge and putting on some sort of workshop to offer, to let employers know what's out there, whether it be subsidies, whether it be training subsidies, wage subsidies. So we put a little survey out. We've had about 15 respondents, and yeah, I think we're going to try to run something this fall with Career Edge. Maybe that leapfrogs into a winter career fair. We've got a lot of businesses that are expanding. We've got a couple businesses coming to Brighton that could really leverage a career fair and find local employees through that. This summer as well, the Brighton Retirement Residence sales office opened. So they are jam-packed. I've met with Dave a couple times. He's their new kind of business development rep. And he's taking meetings. He's booked essentially 10 to 5 every day. Folks coming in, checking out the model rooms, checking out the floor plans, and either putting down a deposit or not putting down a deposit, but certainly filling it's not going to be an issue. So that's been a huge. They're just renting out one of the. They've renovated one of the buildings downtown, and have made it look pretty sharp. So really nice splash into our community with Brighton Retirement Residence. It's not necessarily a business update, but we also opened new pickleball courts this summer. If you haven't been down to check them out, they're beautiful. They're behind the King Edward Park ball diamonds, and they're well used. We got a very robust pickleball club, as well as they'll be available for general kind of pickup, whoever wants to go and use them as well. So just another thing that'll add to our pop-ups concept next year. More traffic of people down there. So lots going on, and you're going to see in the next couple, maybe by next week, we're working on a project as part of one of Bay Quinny's municipal partners. They've been working on a project to offer a regional gift card. So I've attached some details and sent it along to the DBA chair, Gina Boyd, as well as Laura, about the details of that program as early as yesterday, I guess. And so those groups will be notified of the program. So essentially what it's going to be is a universal gift card that can be used in any of the municipalities that the Bay Quinte Regional Marketing Board covers. So for the business, it's pretty simple. I don't want to get into all the semantics of the back end of it, but there's no fees, there's no extra costs for the business, and it's just another good tool in the toolbox that we can use to help promote businesses in our region and Brighton especially. So that should be out in full swing by the shopping season for the Christmas season. So lots going on, and we're getting ready for fall.
Thanks, Ben. A couple of things before I guess we're going to talk about the First Impressions program as well. In terms of the agriculture, my sense from the results of the survey was a lack of relationships with the municipality, of who to contact, of larger issues than Applefest. It was more about being represented at national issues that Marty would be able, or not national, but certainly provincial issues that Marty would be able to talk to better than I can regarding, I don't know, zoning or other issues that affect agriculture. That was my sense of the agricultural issues. And the other thing that I'd like Marty's comment on that, but the other thing that I was interested in, there were several places throughout the survey where respondents could say, yes, I'd like to have more information on this or that. And it was like various, business support programs or the CIP or whatever. So my suggestion to you in my email was that there be a package put together of all of the information that could possibly have been requested for all of the respondents, maybe just in an email to say, thanks for participating in the survey. And here, is a link to a complete package of information that the municipality has to offer in terms of business development. So those were just two of the comments that I would like to make. But Marty, did you have any comments on my comments for agriculture? Marty?
Oh, my internet's cutting in and out right now, actually.
Okay. So I was just wondering if you had any comments about the agricultural comments that came out of the survey about a lack of, liaison with the municipality, I guess.
I know, I guess some of the issues people have is like one guy approached us and I guess someone has some like 4 acres and is close to his chicken farm, and then they want to sever that in 3 lots. But as more houses are close to your farm, if he ever wants to expand his barn, then you have to have more minimum distance between those houses. So if that something like that's granted, it affects agriculture, because if he ever wants to expand someday, he can't, because he's too many houses within a certain area. So a lot of the, people want to build houses, you have it, but you have to see how it affects agriculture before they approve something. So that's one of the bigger issues, I would say. And I guess, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess on August 11th, we did the Northumberland Federation of Agriculture did a municipal tour. We had county staff and local politicians attend, and we did a bus tour, and Ron and Emily were part of this. And first we visited like the new TCO building in Colburn, and we toured like the seed storage facility, and then the crop protection building, and then like safeguards and everything was in there. And then we toured the new fertilizer processing plant, which really speeded up processing of fertilizer for the farmers. Before it took like 3 weeks to get everything out, and they pretty well had everything all done in 10 days. So that really benefited the farmers in the area. So we toured that, and then the second stop we went to Paul Burnham's farm, and Paul and Mark Burnham, and we concentrated on like farm machinery and technology. They showed non-till farm equipment where you plant seeds, but you don't disturb the land much to prevent soil erosion and keep the carbon in the ground and all this, and cover crops. And then they talked about tile drainage, and then also a bit on road safety, because there's equipment, and it's it's 20 feet wide going down the road in certain areas. There's not enough room, so I guess the public has to respect the farm equipment takes space, and you have to make room for it, not try to pass them if they're going slow or something. And then we had a wagon, a tractor and wagon take us out to a field where they ran a combine, combining some wheat. So we got to see that. And then we had a lunch in the machine shed, and they had all local grown produce there, corn and local beef and all that. And fruit, like vegetables and fruits. So that, and then third stop, we went to Even Scriver, and that's by Port Hope, and he grows organic beef, and he just explained his operation. And so I know Ron and Emily attended, and a few other municipal politicians, and I don't know if Ron or Emily have any comments on it, but we plan to do this every year, and we try to move different farms within Northumberland County.
Ron?
Ron? Oh.
I'll just add to that. Thanks. You mentioned about the roads and about the machinery. That's true. The machinery is twice as wide as the roads we have. In some places out there. They also talked about the need to make sure the shoulders of the road are well maintained, and that's because you get vehicles going over the side sometimes, and then they have to get out of the way of a vehicle coming at them, and it's pretty treacherous. There's nowhere for them to go when there's problems on the road. And one thing I really got out of it was a presentation on how housing's moving into the our boundaries are expanding, and we've got to be really careful that we're not expanding into farm country. How many? I think we're losing like 300 acres a day or something.
Yeah, 375 acres a day, and is lost. Agriculture is lost in Ontario a day, which is
It's staggering.
yeah.
And we can see that we're being pressured in our municipality to a little bit, not like it is in our nearby communities. There's some large developments that are, potentially could be happening if, and municipalities can't really, in some ways, can't even stop it because the province is going to make the final decision on this. So
Yeah, it's true.
they can be turned down, and it can go to court, but they'll come back and apply again. And with the province, and I won't even say that, but all federal as well, all pushing so hard for development. And this is why we look like we're the bad guys sometime, but we're under so much pressure. And then if we don't follow suit, they'll be coming along and telling and saying it's going to happen. And this really I won't say scares, but it really frustrates the farmers and the people that live in those areas, that they could very well have a new water plant, a sewage plant, and hundreds of houses right on great soil. And west of Brighton, the soil, we also found that out, it's high quality farmland and growing farmland, and the soil, etc. So I was amazed at that tour. I wish I could see more farms. I guess I could walk in and knock on the door, but that was well organized, and it was great to meet a lot of those the farmers that were there too. So,
Hey, well, thanks for coming out, Ron and Emily.
oh, really impressive.
Are there any other questions for Ben on the BRE before we move on? Karen?
I have a couple. The first one on the workforce attraction strategy. I know you were talking about working with Career Edge to give information to employers so that they can attract more employees. One of the areas that I think was mentioned quite a bit for people who needed more workers was the hospitality industry. I'm wondering if there was any consideration, and I don't know if Career Edge does this, to connecting with the Loyalist Hospitality Program. I know that they do training there for hospitality people. It seems to me that there are a lot of restaurants in town that require employees now, especially once the summer staff is gone. Is there any discussion about how we can attract more people into the restaurant industry? And is Loyalist a good resource for that?
Ben?
No, we haven't discussed sector by sector at all. The concept would be to get as many employers involved as possible, no matter what the sector. I know Loyalist has a very robust culinary arts program. I'm not sure. So I think that would be more in food preparation. So that's definitely an avenue we can reach out to.
Another comment that I have, you mentioned a couple of times, the pop-ups. I wondered if you can give us an update. I know there was a delay in the construction so that we weren't able to get the pop-ups for this summer. Could you tell me what that situation is now? Is there any possibility that we could have a very small pop-up sampling for the Apple Fest, or certainly for the Christmas season now?
So the building itself, the new remote control door, lifting doors is complete. All of the new infrastructure upgrades we had to make within the kind of bones of the building is complete. For now, we feel like we can do all of the cosmetic things in-house with our maintenance department. We have a lot going on down at King Edward Park on Apple Fest, and certainly that building at this time is not in the plan. It's my vision to start as soon as Apple Fest is over, start really putting together application process and figuring out how we can, recruit really good vendors to this program. So I don't envision doing anything until the opening launch in it'd be June of 23.
You don't think there's some potential for an interesting project over the Christmas season?
I think
Couple
there's tons of potential, just won't be in 3 months from now.
Any other questions or comments on the BRNE before we move on?
I know I keep hounding, or keep bringing up the same subject, but I know in the tourism strategy, the waterfront development plan that has been around for years, we talk about utilizing that in some way. Is there any update on that, Ben? I know that there was another committee that is involved in that, but other than that, I don't know what happens there.
I'm not exactly sure when the new recreation master plan, parks plan, waterfront plan will be finalized and out for public consumption. Maybe Jessica has a little more knowledge on that committee than I do.
I don't. It's not an actual committee that we take minutes for. It's more of a working group of council members and staff. But actually, Councillor Anderson is on that working group. I'm not sure if he might have but I don't have any updates about it.
There was, sorry, Ron, just before you get started, there was a very robust public consultation throughout the spring. There was an open house at King Edward Park. There was a lot of staff were called. I know I was part of some consultation throughout that rec master plan. The end of the day, just before I hand it off to Ron, who sits on that group, we have a lot of private property that sits on our waterfront. I've had a lot of conversations with those property owners, and there's things in the works. It's just, when it's private property, you can't force it. Municipality doesn't own a lot of property down there. That's the bottom line.
Well, conversely, I know we have a lot of private property on the waterfront. We also have some municipal property on the waterfront that is used by the owners right now, but it is municipal property. Is there any discussion around that down around the Gosport?
Where exactly do you mean?
Well, I'm thinking of the municipal road in the Gosport area towards the water. My understanding is that is municipal property there, which has sort of been co-opted by the owners of the property across the street.
Okay, I don't have enough background knowledge to really answer that or comment on that.
I think the fair way, if I could interject, I think the fair way to answer that is staff are working on that, how we can work better with that whole area. It's in that plan. It's in the study group that's working on it now has also been reviewing that. And I can't speak about what's coming forward or when, and I haven't even given a date of when we're going to see a full report, but it's been moving along well, and the group that's working on it is going to come forward with something, and I think we're going to hear about it this fall. I'm not sure if it'll be before election or what. I just haven't heard a date where the next meeting is. So I was pleased that things have moved so well over this summer and with their studies and that type of thing. there's so many wheels going on with this study. It's the recreation of King Edward Park, with the applications there, the waterfront, the trails. We're even talking bike paths. All those things are all encompassed in a lot of this. So for me, this I can't speak on it right now.
Good to hear that it is moving forward. There are some sensitive issues around that, and I totally understand that, but I just haven't heard much about what's going on with those. So that's good to know that there's lots of discussion going on and you feel like it's moving forward. That's good.
I can tell you there's discussions going on about hotels, but we don't talk about it much. But
Yeah.
one of these days, you're going to see a sign somewhere.
Okay, so then from the First Impressions program, I can't even remember what the recommendations were or what we got out of that. Is there anything that you wanted to bring forward about that?
No, I believe the list you sent, I think I touched on everything with the list that you sent me, and some of that was amalgamated from the first impression. So
So the
think we're,
one thing I wanted to ask you, and I did talk to you about this, and it's just about managing tourism expectations, and it's a small thing, which should make it easy, but it's about that sign for the museum that is by the railway track, for the museum that doesn't exist anymore. Is there any way to get it removed? Not necessarily the one by the former museum, or to put a closed sign over it, but a lot of people go down that road to the park and they see a sign, Memory Junction Museum, and it hasn't been in existence for years now. So you and I talked about the sign, so I would just like to know about that.
Yep, just like I responded, I think, when we talked about it in the spring. I've contacted the property owner and he is aware of it. Again, private property, I'll push on them as much as I can, but they are aware of it, and they do know. It is our hope that they remove it.
It's private commercial property, you mean?
That's correct.
Right,
Yeah.
okay. All right, any other questions on the report?
May I ask a question, more of a follow-up on the industrial park? I'm just interested in an update on what percentage of the present availability and occupied is our park at right now. You talked about the 10 acres that we hope to, 8 to 10 acres that we hope to be able to expand, but what is the present situation?
I've got a little project going on in terms of a subdivide that would open up about 2.5 acres. That's probably already spoken for. So we don't have any land to sell, essentially.
So I think some people think that nothing's happening where the land is sold and we're waiting for, we're waiting for the businesses to start their process to put something on those sites. I guess the hydro, gas, all those issues have been more or less dealt with, correct?
Yeah, hydro's installed. We signed a deal with Enbridge Gas this summer. They're going through the permitting process. The installation of natural gas is going to be installed this fall. Water and sewer is there. So we've got all the utilities. We've got about 3 developments in site plan process right now. We've got a couple lots that are owned by folks that don't seem to be moving very quickly, who I've contacted all of them in terms of a buyback situation. All of our agreements are laid out where the municipality has first right of refusal to buy back the property if it's not being moved on within 2 years. We have a couple lands that are past that 2-year mark that I am working with our lawyer, who is then working with their lawyer on some of these things. And we have bought a good chunk of land back and resold it to a lot more probable developers. So yeah, it's a constant, it's a day-to-day kind of work of mine. But yeah, the only thing I can really say is that it is a 2-year, thing. The Bain building has gone up really fast. They worked really fast, but they're a general construction enterprise. Like they were ready to go. A lot of folks, especially food processors, manufacturers, they want to get the land, and then they're going to work through the process with our staff. And sometimes that takes a year to meet site plan application, to meet building permit, and move forward. So we do have lots on the go in there. We do have some absent owners that are not holding up their end of the bargain, but we are trying to make something work with them. So
No, that's good. Thanks
Just
for,
to
Sorry.
just to clarify, when you buy a piece of land in the industrial park, contractually, you're agreeing to develop your business within a 2-year period, and if you don't,
by the
Then-
end of the 2 years,
Yeah.
we need to see some sort of like willingness that
Activity?
it's
not
that
just a building, but some sort of.
we don't, it doesn't need to be complete in operation, blah, blah, blah. It just, we need
Yeah.
to see some sort of trace that something's on the go. And there's a couple in there that we're not seeing that right now. So those are
Yeah.
the ones I'm
And then they really legally are obligated to offer that land so that the municipality can buy it back.
for
yeah,
the same price we sold it. That's correct.
Yeah.
Minus
And
lawyer
it's
fees.
just a legal process between lawyers to negotiate that. Got it. Okay.
Emily.
Thank you, Libby. Excuse me. Thank you, Libby. Not to add more to your workload, Ben, because I know you and Caroline and the planning department are always busy. Council heard a few weeks ago, we got an update on our community improvement plan, which, we're pretty well have everything covered as far as brownfields go. Hoping that the next phase of that will be the downtown revitalization section for that plan. Do we know how close we are? Have we started on that, or will there be again consultation with that too, and specifically maybe with this committee as well as DBIA and Chamber at some point? Is that something that we might see rolled out, the end of this year or 2023?
There's been no one's brought that to my desk yet. The downtown, I did administer a program in Quinte West, and I'm very familiar with incentives that we can offer. So putting that together will not require a consultant or anything of that nature. I believe the current CIP, there's language around the bylaw that we're able to open and amend for new categories whenever we want, without maybe even having to go to council, or maybe even I forget. But we're very flexible there. Nothing's been brought to my attention on timelines of when we're going to open those files, but it's definitely a great idea, and I definitely want to make it happen.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, so, Ron, did you have something, or you're just?
I
Thinking.
only have a few minutes left myself, so, and who would take this on? You said you've got the knowledge and your background there. I guess you would be part of it. But is there a group or somebody that would take this on and with great vigor and get going on it? And with your support, or would that be your responsibility?
We did the brownfield program all in-house. We had a contracted retired planner that had a lot of knowledge on development of brownfields. I don't know if I need to mention his name, but he basically put that entire package together, did an unbelievable job at it. Now for 23 budget cycle, we have to budget dollars in case folks do apply for that. Where I come in is marketing that. So making sure it gets in front of the right eyes and the right developers. In terms of the downtown one, again, I think between myself and the planning department, we can come up with that. I'm not sure of the timelines on it and when we're going to open that book up yet.
So probably a good idea. Sorry, I'm not just finish up here. So budget for the next budget. So that would be an item that might be well worth either this committee or yourself looking at what would be needed to actually get at it, for the next budget. not waiting to analyze it next year. I mean, get to the point where you know what we're going to need to get this going. If it's incentives you're talking about and things like that, right?
That's correct.
Okay, so if there's no other comments for Ben, we will move on. We'll have a motion at the end of all three reports to accept them all, but we'll move on to Wayne for the DBIA update.
I don't have a lot to cover. Ben does a great job of covering everything you need to know, right? So, from a downtown business point of view, I think the summer has been fairly well received by our tourists. Depends who you talk to, whether it was a success or not. I don't think things are totally back to normal, but certainly better than they were the last 2 years. We just completed our student assignment, so he did a fairly good job this summer of keeping the downtown looking half decently clean, kept the weeds under control. These things are very important in my mind for the downtown, just to keep that presence, that appearance, as best we can. Our planters, our flowers are still hanging in there fairly well. I mean, all visuals that people see going through the town, I think it's very important. We just hired a new admin person. We'll start probably the next week. We've been lacking someone in our social media presence, but again, we hope to get that picked up and take away some of the admin duties I'm trying to do. Not good at it, but trying to keep it in place. We have a board meeting tonight, so it's going to be interesting to see the feedback from the board members on, again, what they think the summer, how good was it? So it'll be interesting to hear what they have to say. After that, from a project point of view, Casey's Lane, people not familiar with that stuff. So anybody that runs between the dollar store and the dentist office, we finally have that completed. We had lights installed in the last couple of weeks. So now there's some presence. Takes on a whole different theme now with the planters, benches, and lights. So it's a little more appealing for people to walk down the even after hours or during the day. We tend not to have the dog poop there anymore with the planters, so changed the whole perspective downtown. And that was really an initiative between the municipality and the DBIA. We both contributed funds towards that. So it's nice when you can complete a project like that from the DBIA point of view. And I guess lastly, now we turn our focus on our winter. So we're going to be looking at the light up bright and Santa in the park, those sorts of things. So we'll turn our focus to that. So that's about it for now.
Wait, did I hear that there was going to be a mural on the side where
it's beside Lola's Chamber of Commerce. I mean, it's being talked about. I think there's a good possibility that something will proceed. So it's in the works for sure.
Okay. Any questions for Wayne?
I just wanted to give Wayne and the DBIA some kudos. I think that Casey's Lane is, as you say, has really transformed the downtown. It's really a great idea and it turned out very nicely. The other thing is the planters. I'm envious of those planters. I have planters kind of similar and I can't keep them in nearly as good shape as the ones that that you have down there. They look beautiful and there's been lots of positive comments about that. So
yeah, and I have to say as well, I mean, the municipality does the watering. We buy the plants, provide the details, and try to stay on top of them doing the watering.
Must do a lot of watering. I water mine. I have very similar ones, and they just do not look like that as good as the ones down there right now. So anyway, they're great.
Yeah, they are beautiful. Noticed them yesterday. Absolutely beautiful. The ones that are hanging and the ones that are on the sidewalk area. So well done. It'll be really interesting to find out how overall sales were this year as compared to last year. So that'll be an interesting thing to let us know about, Wayne. Any other questions for Wayne? If not, we'll move on to Laura and the Chamber of Commerce update.
Hi guys.
Very well.
Okay, so yeah, as Ben mentioned, the booth was bumping this summer, so that was really, really great. I got a lot of comments. People so happy to see it open. That's the first time it's been opened in a little over 2 years. The first week or two, my absolute rock star student, we got filthy and we cleaned that thing inside and out. So they definitely put in some elbow grease. Unfortunately, she had to leave early because she was moving. I did not want to let her go. I got lots of great comments about her, but she put in the extra work and she got a ton of information about what tourists are looking for, what they came for in the first place. She put it onto a gorgeous spreadsheet. So once I have time to quantify that, I'll have a little bit of data to present to groups like you and the DBIA, and we'll have some more topics to kind of think about for the next summers to come. We also got, I think I'm gonna submit for double the time for the student for next year. I think I'm also gonna submit to have a CRAMI student. So kind of dipping my toe into helping tourism along Brighton and CRAMI. I contacted the group that helped me do it, and they said they don't see any reason why I can't have a summer student for twice as long for Brighton next year. So I'm really hoping to have them like beginning of June straight until Labor Day weekend. So cross your fingers for me. I still have tourism plans. I still got some funding, a couple speed bumps in getting my original plan of some tourism centers, some benches, some bike racks, etc. But it's chugging along. It's just kind of red tape that I have to go through. We did a ice cream event this summer where we just kind of encourage people to go out and shop at all the local ice cream establishments. We did an ice cream card where if you got it filled, you could come to the chamber and get a cooler bag for free. So I have a few left, but it did really well, and I got some positive comments from some of the business owners. And it was a really good opportunity to connect all of CRAMI and all of Brighton together. So there were some people that started getting ice cream all the way in Castleton and ended up down at Presco Park Place. So that's the whole point. And then, yeah, so as soon as Apple Fest is over and we can all remove our Apple goggles, we can start thinking about holiday season. So that's in my rear view just for a minute. I do have a couple events coming up. We have a member-only event on September 13th, where we will hopefully induct our new president. And once that's done, we're gonna kind of have a meet and greet. Chamber members have been asking me for meet and greet type events where they can just kind of get to know each other, share struggles, ideas, concepts. So I'm excited to host that. We are hosting an all candidates meeting on September 20th. Exact time and location are to be determined. I just have to work on some permits. So that will be September 20th. All candidates have been notified. And we are having a chamber open house on September 23rd, the Friday before Apple Fest. We're hoping to have some mayors to cut some ribbons. We're going to have some treats. I'm working on having some yard games, just kind of a way to connect the community and the chamber together and just kind of remind everyone that we're there.
Okay. Laura, I was wondering about the visitor tracking. I believe the last time we met, you said you were going to meet with Bonnie Ruddick from RTO9. Did that happen, or do you have any plans for a visitor tracking?
Yeah, so I asked for some tools. The tools that they can offer won't work for where the booth is. It needs constant staff, it needs internet connection, it needs to be safe, so that didn't work. So we went old school for this summer, and the student just tracked it on paper, and she made a spreadsheet for me. So again,
okay, so that's the data you were talking about. Okay.
Yeah. As soon as I have a minute to quantify it, we will at least have that information. And she made note to write down all the questions that she got, like strange questions that we would never think of that people are looking for, some information. So that's really helpful. And we were also able to get, I found out that people are really looking for maps of all of Ontario for some reason. Usually you have to buy those maps. They're $1, $2 each. I found a way, because I'm a nonprofit, to get them for free. So starting now and for next year, I've got these gorgeous maps of Ontario. So far the booth is already providing to be really, really helpful, and I'm glad I can stick a student in there.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. Thanks, Laura. Are there any questions for Laura? Emily.
Thank you. I'm not sure if this is particularly for just you, Laura, or if it's maybe even for our committee. You mentioned the Apple Route, and I know the focus on the Apple Route right now is more CRAMI in the CRAMI area. And however, I know we see a few of the little metal signs up on poles here. I'm wondering if there's an appetite with either the chamber or with this committee to kind of get that up and running again. Several years ago, it was quite the tour. And I see there's kind of a bit of an artisans tour right now that was focusing on that. I wonder how, and maybe even for Ben or Caroline, and this year's almost over, but maybe something that we can kind of bring back for next year, if we can kind of add that to our tourism kit at some point.
So it's absolutely on my tourism radar. I would love to bring it back to life, but I would love to do it justice, and I would love to bring it back to life better than it was before. I think towards the end, it just kind of turned into this website that often got lost and people didn't really know what it was. So I really want to be able to offer my time towards it. So in the new year, I'm going to be working with R208. They will have a new person in the seat by then, so I don't really want to get something started when there's a shift in office. So I really want to work on hopefully getting some major funding from them for that.
Right.
It's gonna cost a bit to get it to where I want it to be.
Those things, I know they come
Yeah.
like everything, right? They come with a dollar with a price tag. But I know in years past it seemed to be a pretty good tour to get through the area. And I know we lost that for one reason or another. So whether you take the lead on that and we are just a support group at some point, I would certainly like to see that kind of brought back. Thanks,
Yeah.
Laura.
Yeah, well, at the very least, the signs are still there. So it's not like we have to buy new signs. It's not like we have to pinpoint new areas. It's just getting it out there. That is the problem now. So I'll be happy to have anyone's help.
Okay, thanks, Laura. Wayne, did you have something
Just
to
a
say?
quick one, Laura. Can you give us an idea of what kind of questions or what kind of data you collected? Like what?
There was, so there was a lot of, so
I'm gonna
she was
excuse
very,
myself.
she was very chatty, which was great. She asked people what they were here for. Are you just passing through? Is Breton your end destination? Is Presqu'île specifically your end destination? What other things were you hoping to find when you were here? Was there anything that surprised you while you were here? So I think she just kind of had casual conversations with just about anybody that would stop in, and then she wrote it all down and put it into a spreadsheet. So once I can tidy that up, I'm more than happy to send it to everybody here, and we can kind of use that as a jumping off point.
So nothing related to where people reside?
What, sorry?
Where are
Nothing-
they from? Yeah.
Yeah, where they're from.
Oh, yes, she had a complete separate chart from where they're from. There's some very surprising ones. There was a couple from Germany. That was surprising.
So by and large, do you know, just looking at it, and I know it's early days and you haven't had a chance to get at it, were most of the visitors from this region, or did they go into the GTA and the Ottawa areas?
I'm not sure exact amount, but I do remember at quick glance, a shocking amount of people were from well outside the Northumberland area, which I was very happy to see. So as much as we want to cater to local tourism, it's definitely merited to just offer as much support to outside Northumberland and within. So I think it's important for me going forward, if I'm able to continue with tourism, to kind of have a local tourism plan and also a come to Northumberland tourism plan.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. So if you could get that information out to the committee, that would be great.
Might not be till after Applefest, because I've got 4 events coming up,
That's
but
okay.
Apple goggles.
Thank you. So now that we've had the 3 reports, could we have a motion to accept all 3, please? Mover and seconder, mover Wayne, seconder Emily. Thank you very much. All in favor? Carried. Okay, thank you. So the next item is no correspondence. Any new business? It's our last meeting, so I doubt if there would be much that we could get our teeth into now.
This isn't really new business. This is just a curiosity question for the group. I'm down at the Presqu'île Park place quite often, and they've really done a great job down there, making it very visible. But every time I go down there, I look across the road at that property that used to have a little restaurant or a camp store and stuff on it. It has a big parking lot in the front of it. I'm just wondering who owns that. does anybody know who owns it? Are there any plans for that property? It seems like it's such a valuable piece of property and nothing has been there for years and years. And now they've got the little housing development there. Anybody know anything about that?
I think the mayor said, because we talked about that at our last meeting about would it be possible to put the tourism building there because there would be more parking accessible. I believe the mayor said that it was privately owned and used occasionally, and that was that. Does anyone else have any more information, Wayne?
I was told just very recently that the people who own it have really no interest
Right.
in moving forward with anything. I was told too that, I mean, countless people approach the municipality on wanting to do something with that property. But the individuals, I think they're from Toronto. Anybody can correct me if I'm wrong, but they kind of use it as a cottage.
Yes, yeah, that's certainly what the mayor suggested.
There's people in there sometimes. There's actually a cottage.
I assume in one of those buildings. I assume, yeah.
Oh, well, that's
They're
not
going
good.
to sell it at some point, so I know what you're saying, Karen. It is an eyesore there at the entrance, and it's really great land that could be better used.
It does have such potential there, and it is kind of a shame that it's just sitting there. But if it's privately owned and they don't want to do anything, I guess we can't do anything about it.
Not right now.
That one and the ex-gas station downtown are the sore points for.
Well, now that we have the CIP, maybe the ex-gas station will have more chance to get developed. Item 8.1 is the 2023 budget. I really don't know anything about that. I didn't even realize we had budget. So Ben, did you want to speak to that, please?
So the committee, there's a committee GL code, GL line, general ledger line. And essentially we just put enough money in there to make sure there's enough funds for everyone's meeting honorariums. There might be a little bit extra to have coffee or whatever if we're meeting in person on a little bit more regular basis. Or if we have an event that requires snacks or refreshments or something. The only other thing we could do is request more funding if there is training that the committee would like to undertake in the budget process. But for now, considering we don't know where this committee goes in the new term, it's probably my suggestion to leave as is and then have a little more fulsome discussion on training opportunities and things like that in the 24
for the
cycle.
next committee. My only comment would be if I think there's a maximum of 10 meetings a year. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And I don't
Minimum
know
of
if there's a
6.
council decision or if it's just for this committee, but if there are going to be more meetings than 10, the honorarium needs to extend to those extra meetings. That would be my comment. Or not hold any more than 10. So what you're saying is you'd like to table this until the next committee, next council and next committee is established.
I just, unless someone has a real budgetary request that would fall into this committee, I don't know what changes there really is to make at this time.
Wayne, do you have a comment?
No, just again, I don't think we're not locked into this number at this time, Ben, correct? I mean, if something shows up in the next few months or before the budget process is really finalized, it could be changed.
If there's something that comes up throughout, for the next committee, throughout the next year, once this committee gets reestablished, that the committee really wants to jump on top of, I'll either have funding in a different line, or we can go to council with a special request, or I'll just find it in a different account if it's a really pressing matter that we need to get on top of.
Okay.
Emily?
Thank you, Libby. I think the maximum 10 meeting is something that came down from council, as all committees on council are tasked with the same, no more than 10 per year.
Okay, so do we need a motion on that to table that until the next, I guess, the next committee? Do we need anything on that, Jessica?
I would say you're not going to necessarily table it. I would say that you're going to motion that the budget remain unchanged for 2023. And then again, as Ben said, if something comes up, some things happen, you can go to council and request, you bring your proposal of this is what we want and this is why and this is how much it costs, and then it's up to council if they want to increase or add a line item at that point. And then again, come September next year, within whoever ends up on the committee for the new term of council, we go through the budget every year. So every September, there's an opportunity to say, well, we heard about this training opportunity, so maybe we can add a line item for training of committee members, or that's just an example. Obviously, there could be other things, but yeah, every September, the idea is that the committee review their budget. This committee being fairly new, we don't really know where it's heading and what you guys are going to end up doing in the future. But for example, community events and Applefest have quite a large budget given all the things that they put on and, vendors that they have to pay. So we have a community events meeting coming up, and I suspect that they're going to request that their budget be increased because, they found that the bouncy castles for Canada Day cost significantly more than 2019 when they last did a Canada Day event.
So is that a committee expense or is that a departmental expense for Aquafest though?
They're committee expenses. So again, for example, you guys aren't necessarily throwing events right now. Maybe in a couple of years you might be. But right now, as Ben said, there's really not much going on. So unless somebody had something specific that they thought they could ask the council for, when they go into budget deliberations in the new year. Otherwise, this committee should probably remain as is. But yeah, it's a committee budget. Ben has his budget for economic development. This one is strictly for the committee. And currently yours is just sitting at, money for honorariums and such.
Okay. All right. So would anybody like to make that motion that the 2023 budget remain as is for now? Anybody make? Okay, Wayne, thank you. And Marty, second. All in favor? Carried. And so we'll move on to reapplying for a new term of the committee. Robin is going to fill us in on that one. So the new term would be for 4 years, 2022 to 2026. Robin?
Yes, we'll be, once council is official and gets moving, we will be making a complete ad for all the committees, probably middle of December. It'll go out, it'll be on the website as well for all the committees. So then you can start applying online, and existing members will need to reapply as well at that time. Then everything will go to council for their approval, and we'll advise the committee members who have been chosen. Probably in January, Jessica, February?
Yeah, we don't have exact dates, obviously. Our brains are currently on election. But after new council is established and sworn in November 15th, then it'll take us some time to kind of get some stuff rolling. And then I suspect around December, we'll be posting for new committee members and current committee members to apply for the committees. And then, I suspect probably January, we'll be bringing the applications to council, same as we always do, for them to appoint all members.
Okay, thank you. And thank you, Robin. So we don't have a next meeting date, and so this is the adjournment. Before adjournment, on behalf of myself and co-chair Anderson, I would just like to thank the committee for your interest and your participation in this committee, if you and your support and involvement. So your contribution is greatly appreciated. So if there are no other comments,
I'd like to make the same comment, Libby. I've been pleased that we were able to get this committee off the ground. A lot of hard work, I know, for Ben and Caroline, but it's something that has needed to happen years earlier than it has, but I'm glad to see that it's going in the short time that we have been able to meet. I believe we have accomplished much. Good luck, good stuff.
Great. Any other comments? Okay, well, we'll need a motion for adjournment. Karen, seconder, please. Who was seconder? Sorry. Wayne. Okay, thank you. Wayne, there's this big ray of sunshine coming right over you right now. You're looking very ethereal. Okay, thank you. And enjoy the rest of your fall. And yeah, maybe we'll see some of you in the